Alright everyone, welcome to the Rugby League History channel. Hope you're all well. Tonight I'm coming at you with another retro season review, and tonight it's going to be Brisbane in 2006, so I'm going to be reviewing their season. Before I get into the video, if you have not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. Currently at 437 subscribers at the moment, looking to get to 450 by the end of the year. I think that's a realistic total, so I'm aiming for that. So thank you to everyone that subscribed to my channel from the start, and hello and hiya to my recent subscribers. Getting to the 2006 Brisbane season, the side finished third on the competition ladder at the end of the regular season. 24 games that they played, 14 wins, 10 losses, 2 byes, and 105 plus was the points differential. They finished 4 points behind Canterbury, who finished second, and they finished 12 points behind Melbourne, who come first that year. Darren Lockyer was the captain. Corey Parker was the top point scorer with 142 points. Darren Lockyer and Tommy Tupou were the top try scorers that year, 13 each. Wayne Bennett was the coach. Biggest crowd that they got was against New Zealand, 47,193, and the average crowd for that year was 31,208 people. So they got off to a really bad start in 2006 Brisbane. They lost against their bitter rivals North Queensland in round 1, losing 36 points to 4. And then they had 2 wins and a loss. And then between round 5 and round 13 they turned round. They only lost 1 game between round 5 and round 13. So they were on a bit of a roll there. But then they had a complete form slump between round 14 and round 23. They had 7 losses, including 5 losses in a row. And then they ended the regular season with 3 wins in a row. They beat Canterbury Bankstown 30 points to 0. They beat Parramatta the following week 23-0. And then they beat New Zealand 36-12, which put them in the 3rd place. This 2006 season though, I remember it quite well. I remember halfway through the year, I was reading the Daily Telegraph and there was an article saying, can we just end the season now? Can we just have this Melbourne and Canterbury grand final now? They're clearly the 2 best teams. No other team's going to come close. No other team's going to win the premiership. I've tried to find this article on Google or something like that. I just can't find it, but I do remember reading it, and they did actually write that. Going into week 1 of the finals though, Brisbane's opponents were St George. They lost that game 20 points to 4, and that was at Suncorp Stadium, so a big upset there. And then they bounced back the next week, the same week that Wayne Bennett announced that he was staying on as head coach that year. They beat Newcastle 50 points to 6 in the elimination final, which set up a preliminary final at the City Football Stadium against Canterbury Bankstown. At half time in that game, it was 20 points to 6 in favour of Canterbury. I watched the game. I thought Canterbury were going to go on with it. Now, there's an incident which happened at half time. Apparently the Brisbane players, Lockyer, Webke, they all see that Willie Mason said it. Willie Mason denies that he said it. But apparently when they were walking up the tunnel, Willie Mason said, we've only got 5 minutes left, lads. We've got these blokes. We're going to fucking make another grand final. And apparently Webke and Lockyer went into the change room, told the other Brisbane players what was said. And in the second half, they scored an unanswered amount of points. They scored 31 unanswered points in the second half to beat Canterbury Bankstown 37 points to 20 in one of the biggest preliminary final comebacks, to book a grand final against Melbourne, a side who had beaten them twice that year. So Brisbane went into this grand final, the 6th grand final, as the underdog. They weren't expected to win. It was also the first ever grand final that didn't have 2 Sydney teams, or at least 1 Sydney team in there. So I was quite depressed going into this grand final. I remember I had a big bottle of whiskey. I wasn't particularly happy that there was no Sydney team in there. There was no team to go for. But going into that grand final, Brisbane, they reversed what had happened twice that year against Melbourne. They beat them 15 points to 8 in the grand final to get their 6th premiership. It was their 6th. It was 6 from 6 in grand finals. It was Wayne Bennett's 6th premiership as the head coach. The tries for Brisbane were Justin Hodges, Brent Tate, and Darren Lockyer kicked a field goal in the second half to make it 15-8. Sean Berrigan was the Clive Churchill medal winner. and it was probably you could probably see one of the big grand final upsets in the NRL era. Looking back at Brisbane's season, I would see that Brisbane in 2006, like West Tigers, what I did last night, they're probably one of the most unlikely premiership winners. They finished quite a distance behind second and first place that year. They had 7 losses in between the season there, including 5 in a row. They were beaten by Melbourne twice that year. They lost week 1 of the finals, and yet they come out and they won the premiership. As of, it's going to be 2021 next year. If you're new to Rugby League, 2006 was Brisbane's last premiership. They come close to winning in 2015, but they got beaten in the final moments by North Queensland, and then, as we all know, they haven't really had a good couple of years since. But also looking back on it, I might have been depressed at the time watching that grand final, but looking back on it 15 years later, I can see that I am happy that Brisbane won, because the alternative would have been much worse, another Melbourne premiership, and I probably would have needed an extra bottle of whiskey to forget about that as well. But that's me 2006 Brisbane season review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. And I'm going to be making a couple more retro season reviews, so stay tuned for those. Anyways, I'm going to get out of here, and I'll catch us all in the next video. Alright, tatty bye now.